Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Join hosts Dan Melnick and Qasim Masood as they explore big ideas, limitless possibilities, and engage with visionaries, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders who dare to dream big, get inspired, motivated, and find practical tips for personal growth. Think big, dream bigger, and ignite your potential.
All right, welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. And if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, tell us where you live and what you do for a living.
Hi, Dan. My name's Wynn Austin, and I'm from San Diego, and I'm the CEO and founder of a consumer products goods business called Wynn's Kitchen.
Awesome. So can you just tell me more about the business, like what you would do and how you got the idea for it?
Yes, so I make Asian sauces, and it's particularly, they are natural ingredients. They have no sugar, soy, or gluten. And the idea of starting the business came to me when I wasn't feeling well in 2016. And, I had to clean up my diet. I had to cut out sugar, soy, and gluten. And I went to the store, the grocery store, and I couldn't find any Asian sauces that I could buy because everything I had on hand had chemicals, sugar, soy, gluten. So that's when I went back home and I started playing around in the kitchen and came up with a healthy version of my favorite sauce. It's a Vietnamese inspired sauce called satay, and it's a chili sauce. And then it really took on a life of its own from there.
For sure. I mean, I guess like it's one thing to make a sauce at home, but like, how did you decide that it was a good idea to like go to market and start like an actual business?
Right. And I tell people all the time, because I think people think that it's something that I just started and also I'm on Amazon and on the shelves. But it actually started out very grassroots. It was, I was just making it for myself and I like to share what I cook. So I would just post on Facebook and say like, oh, I'm on this like eating journey of cutting out these things. And it's like, oh, I made this sauce. And I'm like, I'm so excited. So I would put it on everything. And then I would post whatever I'm making for dinner. And soon enough, I had my friends started messaging me saying, hey, I'm cutting out sugar. I'm gluten free. Next time you make a batch, can you give me a jar? And I said, okay, no problem. So I went from like a tiny little 2-quart pot to like an 8-quart pot. And, I would just make a bigger batch and then give them in like tiny little 4-ounce mason jars. And then they would reorder and they're like, okay, I finished my jar. And I was like, okay, this is, so next thing, and I did that for 3 years because I really didn't know how to anything about food. As far as like making it a business, I didn't know how to make it shelf life stable or how to get it to market on the grocery store shelves. And every time I would read books about it or read articles, it honestly was very intimidating. And I was like, okay, this is crazy. I don't know. I'll just keep making it for fun, right? But 3 years later, I was making 100 jars a month, and I would have a wait list of, hey, can you put my name on the list next time you make a batch? And so, after 3 years, then I started really thinking like, maybe I am onto something because there really is nothing like it on the market. I would go to the grocery store, I would check out the Asian condiment sauce section, and I would look at the ingredients. I'm like, A, there's nothing really that tastes like my sauce, and B, there's nothing that's that clean. So that's when I decided, I'm like, I'm going to really start researching and take one step at a time towards getting it to, learning how to make a business out of it.
For sure. So I guess like as of right now, where your products mostly e-commerce or in retail, like where can people find your products?
Well, we're in over 200 stores online. So we have a store locator on our website, winnskitchen.com. And then you can also order it through our website, e-commerce. And we're also available on Amazon and a lot of like online grocery store as well, like We and Umami Cart. So we are growing, kind of, getting the word out. But I would say we're still mostly on Southern California as far as like retailers.
So most of your business today is still in retail compared to e-commerce.
Actually, with Amazon, it does really well. So last year we ended it was pretty much 50-50, 50% direct to consumers and 50% retail wholesale channel.
So what is your focus for 2024? Like, are you looking to expand into more retailers nationwide or e-commerce, direct to consumer? Like, what does that look like for this year?
I would say for 2024, I still want to focus on building out, my footprint on the West Coast. So I'm hoping to get into a couple larger chains that pulls out of our large distributor UNFI, because we just got into that distribution towards fourth quarter of last year. So we're focusing on that, and then just, maybe from there, from Southern California, building out to Northern California, and then kind of like they call it the Pac West, Oregon, Washington. So yeah, I think mostly West Coast first, along with continuing to build my direct to consumer and connecting directly with customers through social media. That's what we're really aiming for, and we're trying to launch our third sauce. So we'll have 3 signature sauces.
Awesome. So I guess like you mentioned right early on, it was more grassroots, and now you just said, kind of social media. So what has been your strategy to like get the word out? Have you run ads, or is it more just really so like organic traction of people locally in California?
I would say, I've tried it all. And luckily I made sure that it was calculated risk so I didn't run out of cash. But I've tried the online ads. It wasn't great. It really is coming down to doing demos. Like once I get into a store, just doing demos, and then, email marketing from like my customers that started, I have customers on there that would just get the mason jar and pick it up from my porch. So just really adding on to that email list, sending out recipes. But I would say the biggest success for us is really just social media, sharing my journey, sharing recipes, sharing just what my day-to-day life really looks like being an entrepreneur mom and running a business and wanting to eat healthy and feed my family a healthy meal. And I think that a lot of people resonate with that. But just I have brand ambassadors in LA, in San Diego that helps me in addition to myself, just being out in the field, giving out demos, letting people taste our products. And I think that's been the most successful.
For sure. So I guess like in terms of social media, has it been like Instagram or TikTok, Facebook? Like what has worked for you so far?
I mean, I don't know about you, but it's like if one more new thing comes out, I'm gonna lose it. I'm like, I don't know about this thread thing that Instagram launched. My platform of choice is really Instagram for day-to-day stuff. Plus, I do blogging. I also have my own podcast. I just and PR as well. I was able to get on a couple local San Diego TV segments and being a part of the community last year, with like Naturally San Diego, and that's really helped spread brand awareness. But yeah, my media of choice really is Instagram, which feeds into Facebook, and that's probably all I can handle. I know people said TikTok, and it's like, I'm not a influencer. It's like I'm a business owner, and I like to share as much as I can with the time that allows it.
For sure. So what would you say is like the biggest challenge that you currently face in the business?
I think the biggest challenge is raising capital, like fundraising. I think that's always been a tough part of the business for me. But the journey of getting to the process of raising money, creating a pitch deck has taught me so much about my business. And I look at my first pitch deck to the pitch deck I have now, and even now I have to revise it for 2024. But every single year, I think even if I'm not able to get investors, it's actually really helped me learn so much more about my business and how in the direction, and it helps me be disciplined on the direction that I want to grow instead of trying to grow too fast or trying to do everything that people suggest, right? Everyone's like, get on Shark Tank, get at Whole Foods, go to Costco, and those things are very expensive and very hard. So I think the pitch deck really helps me stay focused. On top of, when the right investor comes in, I'll have that concrete information and confidence to pitch to them.
For sure, but I guess I'm curious, right? Because like you mentioned, the ads have not worked for you. So like, if you were to raise money, where would you spend that money?
Yeah, right. So I would say not that the ads didn't work. I just didn't have the cash, the capital to really wait out the time to look at the algorithm to see what's working, what's not. So I would say if I was able to raise additional money, I would go towards doing more demos and hiring more brand ambassadors because I get that information immediately. Like after the 3 hours, they fill out the form. I get feedback from the customers. You get like for myself, you get to interact with the employees at the grocery store channel. And if money allows and it's growing, of course we I would like to have a bigger online presence, but I'm not sure if I mean, it's like it's not just even the ad that and the clicks, but it's also I have to have the funds to create the content, the assets in order to create an ad that people would want to click through. And that costs a lot of money.
For sure. So I guess for 2024 to be successful for you, like what does that look like? Like I mean, in terms of revenue increase, I mean, if you can mention like a certain percentage, like where do you want, like how much do you want to grow in 2024 compared to last year?
Last year I grew about 120%, but we made it was like I call it my foundational year where it's like I finally got large distribution. I have retailers reaching out to me and starting to understand our products. We're not a chili oil. We're not like a trendy, these type of sauces. This is what I've eaten my whole life. I've eaten satay sauce my whole life. I eat peanut sauce my whole life with noodles or spring rolls. Like this is my culture, and these food are very mainstream now. Like any grocery store you go into, you see fresh made spring rolls in the section. There's sushi, there's all kinds of noodle salads. So that this is not just like, oh, you can only go to an Asian market to get this type of food. It's very mainstream and it's healthy. So I'm really hoping that with the distribution and with the work that I've done last year, that 2024, I'm seeing like at least 200% and above of what we did last year.
So I guess like besides raising capital, like what do you think is the biggest obstacle to get you to the 200% increase?
Like I said, that probably the marketing, right? It's like the demos are successful, but it limits to like, okay, that one store, that one day, and who walks in, right? So I think that even though that's successful, it takes a little longer. I am trying to work on, pitching to get a couple more PR, like television segments. That was like I was on CBS 8 on the Zephley Zone. I mean, they aired it 5 times that day. And every time they aired it, the orders just came in online. So I think that was great. And I still send emails out with recipes to that group. So I think that getting more publicity to help me in addition to the demos would be just building that brand awareness, getting people to learn about our products, because there's a lot of people who would love our products, would benefit from it because if they have an allergy and love Asian food, but may not necessarily know about us yet.
For sure. So in 2024, many people are looking for the best use case for AI. So do you guys use AI in the business? And if not, like where do you think AI could potentially come in and help you out in 2024?
Yeah, so that's something, I've looked into. And to be honest, I haven't quite gotten there yet. But I think one thing about AI is, for example, I mentioned I use Instagram a lot, and I think it could help streamline a lot of things like, hey, I create this recipe if you want it. They can go ahead and I think it's like where it's a chat box where they can just comment a word and then they'll automatically get sent the recipe or they'll give their email. So just like being able to collect the email, that way we can send out promotions and have that long-term community and relationship with that customer, like getting new recipes. So I think that's where AI would be really beneficial for me. You know.
Yeah. So what would you say is like the one biggest piece of advice that you wish you knew before you started this business?
I think I wish I knew how expensive it would be getting into retail channels and just like how the margins work once it's so different selling it out of your trunk and having people just Venmo you and pick it up from your porch than having going into distribution and having the cost that you produce the product plus the cost of the distributor and then also and luckily I was able to give it myself enough padding where it's working, but margins could always be better, right? And so every time, like for example, Amazon takes a very large margin. So just really learning, you have to calculate the margins really by the penny is what it comes down to because pennies accumulate when it's in thousands. And that's the most fascinating part. I was like, oh, okay, before I'm like, yeah, whatever, 50 cents, no big deal. But when you're talking about 50 cents here per jar in 10,000 jars, it really adds up. So I think I wish I knew about that more. And then the cost of going into retail, the cost of distribution.
For sure. So if we're going to have this conversation again in 1 year from now, where do you see things going for your business?
Hopefully up, Dan. It's like as an entrepreneur, nothing is guaranteed, right? It's a very difficult lifestyle, and we can't be blindly optimistic, but we also have to be optimistic because otherwise it's not worth it. If you don't think it's going to work and you don't think your business is going to grow. But I'm really focusing on growing responsibly. So hopefully if we talk next year, I'll be in a lot more retailers and larger retail channels, like natural grocers, Harmons. They all pull from my Unify distribution centers right now. And so I'll be pitching to them this year and just hoping that more people know about my product and I hope that we're growing. So every year, if we're growing, I think that's success, even though it may not be as fast as I hoped, which happens, right? But I think if I can get every year continued growth, that would make me happy.
Awesome. And we're rooting for you. So if somebody watching this wanted to reach out, do you mind sharing your website or social media? I guess best ways to get in contact with you.
Absolutely. So definitely my website. I post my blogs on there, my podcasts on there, recipes on there. But if they really want to interact with me and see what I'm kind of doing on a daily basis, where I'm going to be, if I'm at a demo, just like following my entrepreneurial journey, definitely follow me on Instagram at Wynn's Kitchen.
Awesome. Well, Win, thank you so much for your time today.
Okay, thanks, Dan. Thanks for
Thanks. Of
having me.
course. All right. Bye.
Bye.